you know, you seem like a very educated, nice person, and you're in this business. I would give you a piece of advice. Do not continue working with my boss.
What did you now? Are you in? You're in Colombia during the whole
Yes,
Los Pepes thing and all that. How did you
yes,
even lay low during that era?
because I was with Rasguño. I was with Northern Valley. Okay, I started working with Northern Valley Cartel, which is Rasguño, and
How'd you get hooked up with him?
through Marulo. It came a point where I was working with Marulo for many years. He was the head of the Pereira cartel. I was working with him for many years, but it got to a point where, you know, I needed more merchandise. My Mexico business was growing so much that I was needing 3,000 to 4,000 kilos at a time, and Marulo didn't want to get involved in that much, and he was not ready for that. So he turns me on to his neighbor, Rasguño, that lives in Cartago. And the first trip we did with Rasguño, we did 2 King Airs with 1,300 kilos each, 2,600 kilos out of Pereira Airport right to Tamaulipas, Mexico. And from there on, it was just, pew. Before that, with Marulo, we had done like 14 back-to-back trips with a Cheyenne 4. We started with a Cheyenne 2, then a Cheyenne 3, finally a Cheyenne 4, doing 700 kilos apiece. We did 14 trips. Just
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, that was in a period of about a year.
How many people do you have working for you?
At that point, well, I had a pilot, co-pilot, a manager that would manage the different pilots. Like I said, not too many people, maybe 10, 12 people working for me.
The rest, you didn't have any muscle because you didn't do any of that.
What? I didn't need the muscle. What more muscle than the Northern Valley Cartel?
Well, for example, you're with the Northern Valley Cartel during
who's gonna fuck with you?
Escobar was crazy. What if Escobar's like, I don't like that this fucking Cuban's doing deals with this guy.
No.
Get rid of him.
No. Up until Pablo died, Pablo was killed, I worked with them. I worked with El Negro Galeano, Mickey Ramirez, Piedrahitas, the Ochoa cousins, all Medellin cartel.
Up until he died.
Yeah. When he died, I started working with Northern Valley.
Even those last like 6 months when he was like down to a few men and on the run, you were still doing coke for him?
We were working with Negro Galeano through Mickey Ramirez. And we were airdropping off the west coast of Tampa.
Off the west coast of Tampa?
As a matter of fact...
Like Madeira Beach? Like...
There's a lighthouse west of Tampa. And there was so much shit that we were throwing at that lighthouse and bringing in through the West Coast that it was Bob Harley, I think, that told me that they termed that the Coke machine.
But you're doing this when the whole Colombia is in like a civil war over this guy.
Yeah, we were
the U.S. government's all over Colombia.
Yeah.
And you're bringing Coke out of Colombia, no problem?
We never stopped working. El Negro never stopped working until the day that he went to visit Pablo, that he got killed in La Catedral, and Mickey, after they killed him in La Catedral, while before Pablo escaped La Catedral.
Oh, when they killed him, yeah. The other guy.
Mickey Ramirez went to talk to Pablo in La Catedral, and we thought he was never going to come out.
Which was the prison that Pablo built.
He killed Negro Galeano and Kiko Moncada, and he didn't leave right away.
Right.
He waited a couple weeks, I think. But Mickey went to talk to him to continue operations because he had taken over, since he killed Negro, he had taken over the operations for that Negro had. And he wanted Mickey to continue working with him.
And you weren't scared at all that this guy who was killing off all the competition might come for you and be like, I don't need this dude.
Not at all. No, not at all.
Really?
I was 100% sure that, what I did was valued, and I was working with good people, Negro Galeano, Mickey, Pablo, to me, these were all good people to work with. I mean, that's the truth.
You are so interesting.
That's the truth. I was never...
You could see why most people would be like, it's odd that you call someone like Pablo Escobar, quote, a good guy to work with.
He was. He was.
Do you think he was for you, but obviously not for other people?
I worked mostly with his number one associates, which was, for example, Pablo Correa, which he killed Pablo Correa.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I worked with Mono Lopera, and Marulo ran the Pereira cartel, which was just a subsidiary of the Medellin cartel. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Mono Lopera got killed also. I worked with the Ochoa cousins. I worked with Medellin cartel principally for many, many, many years. And I was happy working with them. I got along with all of them. And the only guy I worked with from the Cali cartel, which was Cali cartel, was Mono Endo. But then that stopped really quick. Mickey Ramirez called me up one day and says, Senador, you're working with Mono Endo, you're going to end up dead.
You see, Senador?
Yeah, that's...
They called you the senator?
They called me the senator because I always dressed well. And somebody, I don't know if it was Mickey or Rasguño, said, here we are dressed in fucking polo shirts and dungarees. This guy comes dressed with linen suits, Davidoff ties, and this and that. Looks like a senator. So they started calling me senator.
Senador.
El Senador. To this day, Mickey still calls me El Senador. And he said, please, I'm going to ask you for a favor. You know, I know nobody's working, but I'll go ahead and I'll get some merchandise from somewhere, but please do not work with Mono Endo anymore. So I was in Cali when he called me. And Mono Endo's chauffeur was taking me to the airport. And I had just had that conversation with Mickey, but I didn't tell him that I wasn't going to continue working with him. What a coincidence. You know what his right-hand man tells me? You know, you seem like a very educated, nice person, and you're in this business. I would give you a piece of advice. Do not continue working with my boss. He's going to end up killing you. He's killed everybody he works with.
Now, did that send a shiver up your spine?
And that kind of said, wow, those are signs.
Yeah.
And he ended up... his partner got killed, Gordo, but he ended up in Panama.
But hold on. If you then stopped working with Mono Endo,
I stopped.
You didn't have a fear that he would come to you for reprisal for refusing to work with him? No. It's kind of like you're stuck between a shit and a fart.
No. Mono Endo had other routes and other things. You know, it just panned out, and for him, I stopped working. I was just another guy. I mean, he had other people he worked with. But at that point, Mickey did come through for him. He started giving me merchandise, and I continued working with Mickey. But then I picked up, from there was when I went and started working with Northern Valley, with Rasguño.
Okay. And Northern Valley had been around.
Actually...
Because that was
I was working with Mickey and Northern Valley at the same time.
Towards the end of Escobar's life?
No, after Escobar.
Okay.
And during Escobar, yes, it overlapped. I did work with Mickey and Negro Galeano, and we were airdropping in that lighthouse.
Off Tampa.
And we were already working with Rasguño. There was a little overlap there.
Okay.
Because after they killed Escobar, or was it before, we had a meeting. Yeah, there was an overlap.
And that was December 93, I think he was killed, right?
December 93.
So, but the last year...
December 2nd,
or a couple years there, they were crazy, though. I mean, the country was, like, torn apart because of him.
Yes.
Shit was burning.
Yes, but I never looked at it that way. I never... I mean, they were putting bombs in centro comerciales, but we still want the centro comerciales. We still want the restaurants. Yes, the country was in turmoil, but we lived there, and that's where we lived, and that's where I worked, and that was that's what was happening at the time.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.